which is a suburb of Portland, Oregon. And today I'm going to make Parmesan Fondue. So Parmesan is a rather thick cheese and it can be hard to work with sometimes if you're looking for it to melt. So Philadelphia cream cheese is perfect for making it creamy and making it fit in well with the fondue style. So what we're going to do first is we're going to bring water to a boil. And I have a fondue dish that actually fits on the top of my saucepan where I have the water boiling. If you have a double boiler, that'll work great. If you have an oven-safe bowl, that'll even work. So there's a few different options. You don't have to have the fondue dish. So I'm just going to put that right over the boiling water. And it's going to boil underneath and make sure that the dish gets nice and hot without actually scalding the Parmesan and the cheese that's already in there with the Philadelphia cream cheese. So first I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. And it can be any kind, 1%, 2%, fat-free. Doesn't need to be any one in particular. So we're going to put that in first. And then whenever I'm doing something where I'm looking for the Philadelphia cream cheese to melt, I always cut it into smaller cubes. I just think it makes it melt down a little bit faster and easier. So I cut this into just some cubes. This is actually 16 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese, so 2 of these packages here. And so all cut down into smaller pieces, and we're just going to go ahead and throw that in with the milk. And it sounds like I need to turn my burner down just a little bit because it's boiling a little bit high. So we're going to let this boil and melt this all down for at least 4 or 5 minutes while we stir it, and that'll break down the Philadelphia cream cheese and make it a little bit creamier. So it's been on the stove for about 8 minutes, and I've been stirring it consistently. And one of the reasons why I'm using the spatula is that I'm moving the bigger chunks of the Philadelphia cream cheese around and to the sides and kind of smoothing it out with the milk. So it's giving me this really nice, creamy, smooth texture. So when it gets to be about this point where there's just a few little lumps left and it's still kind of warming all the way through, we're going to go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of garlic salt. I have that here. We're just going to go ahead and sprinkle that in. And make sure that gets fully mixed in. Now when we serve this, we usually serve it with French bread. You could also serve it with a rye bread. I think that would also be really good. We sometimes serve it with a vegetable platter. Anything that you like to dip into a kind of a cheese sauce or a fondue would be great with this. Okay, and once the garlic salt's all the way put in, then we're going to go ahead and add 2 cups of grated Parmesan. And we want to mix this in so that the Parmesan starts to melt. You can see the Parmesan starting to melt in there right now. And I'm working it all the way around to the sides, making sure that it's getting warm. And because this is my fondue serving dish, I want to make sure that I'm keeping the sides clean as well. This particular fondue, because the Parmesan is a thicker cheese, this is a thicker fondue. So it does better with kind of a more firm bread. Now we don't want to leave this on here too long because some of the milk will start to evaporate and it'll start to become too thick. So we want to make sure it's just the right consistency where the Parmesan is melting and yet it's still got some smooth texture to it and it's not becoming chunky. Oh, I can really smell the garlic and the Parmesan going now. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my sides here. We're just about ready to put it on the fondue dish. Now, if you're using just a regular bowl, please be careful of the water that's boiling underneath. And also be careful because the dish will be really hot. And if you're using a bowl and you don't have a heating unit underneath it for when you're serving it, then you want to serve it right away. If you have a heating unit, then you can set the heating unit going, like I have on my fondue dish, and that way then it can set for pretty much the whole evening if you're doing like a dinner party. Okay, so look at this beautiful texture. It's really thick and creamy. And just a little bit of this stringiness that the Parmesan's pulling up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove off and remove the dish from the boiling water. Make sure you get all that water off as it is hot, and put it onto the fondue dish. And then you'll want to heat the element underneath, and of course use your fun long fork for fondue. So this is my recipe for Parmesan fondue. Hope you enjoy.